You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are ready to begin our spring 2024 Black History Month convocation. I am Dr. Pernella Rowena Deems, and it is a pleasure to serve as your Senior Vice President for Student Life and Success here at Talladega College, the Alpha Laura Vega of them all. To President Vincent, members of the College Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of the college, thank you for your presence here today. During our time here this morning, we will hear stories of Black excellence and perseverance. We will pay tribute to those who changed the world through their brilliance and bravery, and bear witness to the amazing talents of our campus. It is fitting to gather today here in the DeForest Chapel to recognize our excellence. Here, we are surrounded by the beautiful stained glass windows designed by former faculty member and renowned artist David C. Driscoll. He transformed African American art, and we are thankful for his inspiration and vision. And we look forward to hearing from our guest speaker, alumnus Rockell Metcalf, class of 1985. We are grateful that his schedule allowed him to be here with us today. This year's theme, a masterpiece unfolding of big dreams, bold strokes, and bright futures. We look forward to hearing more about them as the program progresses. Please stand as Reverend E. Tremaine Solomon, Senior Pastor of the Spring Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Lineville, Alabama, comes and prays our invocation. Following the invocation, Dr. Lloyd Mallory Jr., Executive Director of Choral Activities, and Dr. Pamela Burns-Bell will lead us in the singing of the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. Reverend Solomon.
May we bow our heads. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way. Most gracious and eternal God, we thank you for today. We honor you, for you alone are worthy of all of our praise. As we begin this Black History Convocation, we remember our faithful ancestors who have gone on the transition from labor to reward. It is the writer in the New Testament book of Hebrews that reminds us that they take their rightful place among the great cloud of witnesses now cheering us on to continue to run this earthly race. Gracious God, we pause and reflect on the amazing accomplishments of our ancestors. We thank you for their hands that were blessed to build pyramids. We remember the countless millions who lost their lives in the Middle Passage. We thank you for those who heard the clarion call to start historical Black colleges and universities, to educate those fresh out of slavery and future generations to come. Lord, we say thank you for November the 20th, 1865, where you providentially ordered the paths of former slaves William Savory and Thomas Tarrant to cross. And from that, you birthed this distinguished school, Talladega College. We bless you, O God, for those who lived and fought in the struggle for freedom. Those like Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, George Washington Carver, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rosa Parks, Martin King, Coretta King, Gardner Calvin Taylor, Shirley Chisholm, and John Lewis. We thank you for those who are still among us, fighting the good fight of good trouble. Those like Jesse Jackson, Barack and Michelle Obama, Horace Patterson, Mayor Ashton Hall, and even Dr. Gregory Vincent. God, we honor you for their service, for their sacrifices. We promise you that their lives will be examples for us, that our labor will not be in vain. So God, we promise to take moments like today, like this convocation, to be used to inspire us as we move forward in the future, to serve this present age with dignity, integrity, love, and compassion as we strive to build that beloved community. This is our prayer, O Lord, in the name of our Savior, heaven's heroes, earth emancipator, our Lord and liberator, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Solomon, for being here with us this morning and sharing our invocation. And thank you, Dr. Mallory and Dr. Burns-Bell, for leading us in the Black National Anthem. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Mr. Kyle Horn, a senior mass media studies major who will deliver our welcome. Mr. Horn.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Horn, and I'm Mr. Junior and a member of the Gavin chapter of Kappa Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Welcome. Thank you, Dr. Deems. To President Vinson, senior administration, faculty, staff, family, and friends of the college, good morning. Today we pause for a moment in time to welcome you in our Black History Month observance. Black History Month was the brainchild of Dr. Woodson, who was born in 1875. The son of former enslaved persons, Woodson was able to transcend the poverty of his childhood through his intellectual and academic achievements. Woodson recognized that the accomplishments of Black people were ignored in standard textbooks, and he sought to expose and broaden the acknowledgement of Black achievement. Today, we welcome you to the birthplace of achievement here at 627 West Bell Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, for welcoming our community here to our convocation. Let us now welcome Ms. Jaleesa Bokaj, a junior business administration major who will share a moment in Black history. Ms. Bokaj.
A pleasant good morning. I am Jaleesa Bokaj, a junior studying business administration with concentrations in accounting and finance and banking, hailing from the beautiful islands of the Bahamas, and I serve as Miss Junior. Thank you, Dr. Deems. As the teaching of African American history is under assault, let us recognize the origin of Black History Month. As Kyle Horn mentioned a few moments ago, Black History Week was created in 1926 in the United States when historian Carter G. Woodson, who is considered the father of Black history and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. This week was chosen because it coincided with the birthday of Abraham Lincoln on February 12th and the suspected birthday of Frederick Douglass on February 14th. The event was regarded by Woodson as, quote, one of the most fortunate steps ever taken by the association, end quote, and went on to state, quote, if a race has no history, it has no worthwhile tradition. It becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated, end quote. Black students and educators at Kent State University in Ohio first proposed Black History Month in February 1969. The first celebration of Black History Month took place at Kent State a year later, from January 2nd to February 28th, 1970. The creation of Black History Month coincided with San Francisco State's hiring of sociologist Nathan Hare to coordinate the first Black Studies program and write a proposal for the first Department of Black Studies. The department was created in September 1968 and gained official status at the end of the 5-month strike in the spring of 1969. President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month in 1976 during the celebration of the United States bicentennial. He urged Americans to, quote, seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history, end quote. This introduction to Black History Month is considered the start of the study of Black or African American history, but it only tells part of the story. Martin R. Delaney, the father of Black nationalism, wrote a little-known study of the history of Blacks in the United States in 1852 titled The Condition, Elevation, Immigration, and Destiny of the Colored People of the United States, Politically Considered, which is a political essay meant for the two audiences, the entire nation and the free Black community in the northern states. Delaney focuses on what he called truths, pertinent to the race relations in the United States. He criticized the United States for failing to live up to its democratic and Republican ideals. Let's not only celebrate and inform the others of the many contributions, struggles, and challenges of African Americans in the United States, but also push forward and demand what Delaney meant when he said, truths need to be exposed to gain first-class citizenship. Black History Month is not merely the celebration of Black culture, but also the educating of all people about the Black political, social, economic, and educational realities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaleesa, for sharing your reflection of Black History Month. In a few moments, we will hear from our keynote speaker. However, before he speaks, we must take a moment and celebrate a friend of the college who has joined us this morning. Some of you may recognize her face. Today, we are honored to have with us Ms. Esteemed Murkison, a film, stage, and television actress. Go on. She has won a Golden Globe, Emmy Awards, Screen Actors Guild Awards, an Obie Award, and 4 NAACP Image Awards. She has also received 2 Tony Award nominations. She is best known for her role as NYPD Lieutenant Anita Van Buren on the long-running NBC police drama series, Law and Order. She holds the record for appearing in the most episodes of the series, 391, more than any other cast member. In 2012, she became the host of Find Our Missing, a reality reenactment series on TV One that profiles missing people of color. In 2015, she was cast as Sharon Godwin on NBC's Chicago Med. On the show, her character is the administrator of clinical operations who deals with issues that keep the hospital running during everyday drama among ER staff, patients at Gaffney Chicago Medical Center. Please join me in a rousing Talladega College welcome for Ms. Esteemed Murkison as she comes to the podium. She will introduce our speaker.
I'm gonna put my speech in this because everybody has envelopes and book binders, and I came with my papers, so I'm gonna put it in here. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. Rockell and I have been friends over 20 years, and he has always talked about Talladega College. And to be able to come here and be here with you this morning is amazing. I'm a little nervous because hearing my bio like that makes me nervous. But I just want to thank President Vincent, Ludwig Gaines, Teddy McDaniel, Kenyatta Schamberger, and Norman Pitts, the staff, faculty, all of you students that are here. You know, I use script, so I'm going to read a little something. But there's someone in the house that you should meet. He is a pillar of Black history and Alabama's first Black federal judge, Judge U.W. Clement. And he is accompanied by his most beautiful and lovely wife, Barbara Clement. And his most fabulous daughter, Michelle. So I want to just say a few words about Rockell. because he has become more than just a friend. In fact, when I introduce him to people, I say he's my baby brother. He knows me like no one. He gives me advice when I need it and sometimes when I don't. But then ain't that family. But I want to tell you one of my special stories about Rockell. This was again, 20 years ago, and I had the opportunity to take a trip to South Africa. So I went home early because it was during the holidays. I went home early to spend time with my family, planning on this trip to South Africa. It fell through. And I was really disappointed. And Rockell called one day, said he was coming up for dinner. And while we were talking, he said, you know, I'm going to Berlin. Why don't you come with me? And I was like, for real? And he said, yeah. So that night, we made my plane fare. We got the plane ticket. And I was also able to get into his hotel. So 2-3 days later, we're off to Berlin. And my mood is starting to rise now because I had been in the dumps. You don't promise somebody a trip to South Africa and then cancel it. Y'all know what I'm saying? Did I say good morning? So anyway, we get to Berlin and we didn't check any bags. We go right to the cab, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how are we going to get around? I didn't even look to ask where the bathroom is in German, but that's okay. We get to the cab and Rockell begins to speak German. And I'm like, okay, he figured it out, how to get the cab, how to get to the hotel. We get to the hotel and he's having conversation. Hello. He's having conversation with the woman at the desk in German. Come to find out, this brother has won a debate in German in Germany when he was in high school. He not only speaks fluent Hebrew, but he speaks fluent German. So we go all over Berlin. He's flugen, fliegen, fliegen, fliegen. Flugen, fliegen, 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 fliegen. I am most impressed. We go to a chamber music concert. We go to the museums. I mean, we traveled all over Berlin with him. Fliegen, 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 fliegen. And I was like, this is why I love this brother, because he's the real deal. So it's our last night. He sees that I'm in a much better mood. So he says, listen, we're going to go to this really nice restaurant and I'm going to take you to dinner. That's why I like him. Because he will pay for dinner. So we have this lovely meal he's ordered for me because I don't fliegen. We have this meal that is amazing, great wine, the whole thing. It's the end of the meal. The waitress comes with the bill and he's trying to fill it out. And, you know, he's working the German in his head and she's standing there, like standing right next to him. And he looks at her and he says in German, please give me the opportunity to work out the tip. She doesn't move. He gets slightly irritated. He turns to her and he said, will you please move in English? She doesn't move. She just goes. And he gets so upset. He went, please, will you move? And the woman just stood there. So he figured out the tip, and now he's like this. He figures out the tip. She takes it, and we leave the restaurant. He's so upset. And I said, don't let that bother you. He said, but she just wouldn't move. And I said, yeah, I know, bruh. And he said, it was so irritating. I said, yeah, but what happened to the Flugen? He had totally stopped speaking German. So in honor of my brother, meine Damen und Herren, Herzlich willkommen. Willkommen. I knew I wasn't going to do it right. But wait, I'm going to do it. Meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen, Rockell Metcalf. Please welcome Rockell Metcalf.
Good morning. Good morning. And thank you for that warm reception. Before I begin my remarks, can we take a moment to just once again express our appreciation for my dear friend, Esteemed Merkerson, hold on, who not only can speak German, but who is the longest running Black female actor in the history of primetime television. I am just thrilled that Epatha is here on campus and that we are able to have a bit of her essence shine on Talladega College. To the esteemed president of Talladega College, Dr. Gregory Vincent, the Board of Trustees, distinguished faculty and staff, and especially my Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity brother, Vice President Ludwig Gaines, and Trustee Essie Colvin Miller, who were so responsible, or instrumental rather, in my appearance here today. To the students, you soon-to-be Tornado alumni. And to family and friends, thank you for the invitation. I would also like to make a special acknowledgement to a few very special people in the audience. I was actually planning on introducing you to the honored and honorable Judge E.W. Clement and family, but someone stole my thunder in that regard. However, there are also 4 very special women whom I must acknowledge, 3 of whom were like mothers to me when I attended Talladega College some 40-odd years ago, and one of whom is a dear childhood friend. They are respectively Mrs. Juliet Smith, Mrs. Martha Hill, Mrs. Shirley Wesley, and Mrs. Meissner Vincent Thompson. Now, Talladega College, I must admit that I was starting to think y'all didn't like me anymore. Yeah, because the last time I was asked to give a keynote address on this campus, it was over in Fanning Refectory for the alumni reunion banquet. And that was at the turn of the millennium, way back in 2000, a whole 24 years ago. So thank you for finally inviting me back to be a part of a most significant time for Talladega College. Ironically, the last time I was in DeForest Chapel, or the last time I attended a convocation here in DeForest Chapel, I was sitting where you're seated right now. It was the fall of my senior year, and the guest speaker at the time was the late, great Reverend Martin Luther King Sr., the father of the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I remember it well because Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. passed away just 5 days after giving his keynote convocation speech here in DeForest Chapel. It would be his last public appearance. And I recall that his words were, riveting and awe-inspiring. It's what you would expect from a man who was so socially significant. But I must admit that after all of these years, I can't recall much of what he said. I just remember there was a lot of clapping at the end of his speech. So just know that when I finish my brief talk with you, I won't hold it against you if you forget what I've said some years down the line. I love the theme that I was asked to speak on today. It is, and I quote, a masterpiece unfolding of big dreams, bold strokes, and bright futures. To all of the students in this chapel, whether you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, I believe Dr. Vincent and Vice President Gaines chose this as a theme just for you. Because no matter your field of study, whether it is one of the STEM disciplines or English or psychology, you are what any great painter would see. You, in many ways, are like a blank canvas of possibilities. Your bold strokes, your subtle lines, your color palettes have yet to be manifested. In pursuing your dreams, how will you transform your blank canvas of a life into a unique masterpiece? Will you carry out your journey with such fervor that you are driven to sever off the lobe of one ear, as did Vincent van Gogh? I hope that you will pursue your passions and your goals with that kind of intensity. But I want you to keep both of your ears intact. As of today, you have already achieved significant milestones. You have chosen your canvas, your tools, and Talladega College has prepared you for your craft as you begin to work on your masterpiece. But as you go out into the world, one of the most important lessons you're going to learn is that the world doesn't love you the way Talladega College does. Has anyone here heard of the R&B music group called the Spinners? Okay, all right, great. Now, for those of you whose hands didn't, immediately shoot up or who didn't yell out yes, artists you do know who have sampled the Spinners include Michael Jackson, Tupac, Wale, Boyz II Men, and Jay-Z. So even though I know I'm dating myself, you can tell that the Spinners were, as you young folks would say, fire. They released a song in 1974 that is so apropos for today's message. The song is entitled, Love Don't Love Nobody. Just like the world don't love nobody. And there's a stanza at the end of the song that I want to share with you. It takes a fool to learn. Took me a long time to learn well, that love don't love no one. It takes a fool to learn. I was a fool, you were a fool. Now, I share this with you about the world because I don't want you to be a fool as you go out there into it. While you have exciting ideas for your masterpiece, the world might see you as a block of uninteresting marble. To them, you're not distinctive. You suggest only potential. The Italian sculptor Michelangelo was presented with a block of marble, but in it, he saw the world-famous statue of David. What is inside your block of marble? Will you bring forth your own comparable statue that will be world-renowned? Might you manifest something that is of a smaller scale, that brings you happiness? Or Do you think you may create something that stirs a little controversy or is less popular, but still impactful to your community and to future communities? I say yes. Yes to all of it, because you are Talladega. You are the brightest shining star. You are the Alpha Lyra Vega of them all. As Talladega embarks its investments to equip future students to lead in the world, know that you are part of an institution that has, since its establishment in 1867, birthed forth distinctive and beautiful masterpieces that have contributed to this society. All I have to do is to call the roll. Dr. Jewel Plummer Cobb, Eunice Johnson, Dr. William Harvey, Dr. Kathy Hammond Moulton, Nikki Finney, Arthur Shores, Deion Sanders, Nikema Williams, Honore Jeffers, and the indomitable attorney and my personal mentor, Margaret Bush Wilson, to name just a few, each a masterpiece with a unique story. A unique story just like Alabama, my home state. Our agriculture and connection to the Gulf of Mexico, which feeds our aquaculture, means Alabama has a rich economic diversity. Access to water has long been a critical factor in the prosperity of any region. As an example, 90% of Egypt's population lives along the coast of the Nile River. Water brings life, and often the lack of water creates desperation and limitations. However, in defiance of reason, Botswana, another country on the great continent of Africa, has something to teach us about finding your potential from a non-distinctive place. Botswana's landmass is 4 times the size of Alabama, with roughly half the population of Alabama. However, much of Botswana is not very usable. The Kalahari Desert comprises over 70% of Botswana's land area, dry, barren, unfertile land. These elements, you would think, aren't very good conditions for a nation to prosper. But as it turns out, Botswana's real value lay underneath a blank canvas that could not be seen. Deep within the ground of the country lie great deposits of diamonds. These deposits enable Botswana to produce more of the world's diamonds than any other country, except for Russia. This one element has dramatically improved Botswana's economic standing, with more than 80% of its diamond profits staying within the country and providing free healthcare and free education and an unprecedented expansion of local jobs. It just needed to be brought forth. Any person looking at Botswana on the surface might conclude that there isn't much value in this country. But when one takes the time to unfold a masterpiece, its true value can be seen. Because you are working hard and you are attending an institution that believes in your genius, a college that has helped you develop your wide array of talents, abilities, capacities, vision, and passion, you are like a diamond with many facets. Now, along your journey, you may need some assistance, some refining to create the right facet for your unique story. This was the case for me. When I was a senior here at Talladega College, my greatest dream was to attend the University of Virginia Law School. But as it turned out, my application was rejected. I was deflated, so I sought the advice of a Talladega alumna whom I previously shouted out, Margaret Bush Wilson. She was the first Black woman to chair the NAACP. Now, anyone who knew Margaret Bush Wilson knows that she was a very straight shooter, but I really needed her help. So one day I saw her walking across campus toward the cafeteria. And I ran up to her and I said, Mrs. Wilson, I have to talk to you. My application to the University of Virginia Law School has been rejected. And I'm head of the student body. I have a high GPA and I'm the poll mark. I don't understand. And Mrs. Wilson said, well, let's have breakfast tomorrow and I'll take a look at your application and try to figure out what happened. So the next day we met for breakfast in Fanning Refectory and she started reviewing my application. Suddenly, she looked up at me and she said, I see why you didn't get into the University of Virginia Law School. It's because you can't read. And she showed me the question for the essay. I remember it to this day. The essay question said, listen carefully, this is a question on whether the Olympics should continue to rotate from country to country or whether the Olympics should remain in Greece. For purposes of your answer, argue that the Olympics should remain in Greece. The first sentence of my essay said, I believe the Olympics should continue to rotate for the following reasons. Mrs. Wilson looked up at me from my sad little essay, and she said, I can't help you until you learn how to read. And she got up from the table and walked away. I'm serious. I remember it like it was yesterday. She got up from the table and walked away. Now, as devastating as this story sounds, it does have a positive ending. And I can't believe I'm telling you this because it's embarrassing. But a year later, at the end of my first year of law school, I called Mrs. Wilson up on the telephone. And I said, Mrs. Wilson, I just made the grade on my torts law exam, and I can read now. And as a result, she hired me to work as a law clerk in her law offices at the end of my first year of law school. Now, my little essay slip-up taught me that a greater attention to detail would be required for me to achieve my goals. And although this was a blip on my canvas, it is still part of the beautiful unfolding of my very own masterpiece. I believe this will be true for you as well. Real quick. Does anybody know where the most valuable place on earth is located? You may think Wall Street. It's not a bad option. I live in New York City, and I see a lot of wealthy people there. Some of you might be thinking Silicon Valley. It's not a crazy idea either, considering all of the tech billionaires that have sprung from that part of the country. Although these are great options to consider, I will tell you that these are wrong. The most valuable place on earth are cemeteries. They are full of people who have carried their potential with them to the grave. That book that was never written, that life-saving medical device that was never invented, that gift of teaching that was never shared with a hungry group of students. Wasted potential is one of the greatest crimes that you can ever commit against yourself. This is your time. Reach within yourself to bring forth your uniqueness, to realize your potential. Don't you dare take that unfulfilled masterpiece inside of you to the grave. Nurture it. And remember to be patient, be kind to yourself and others, and give yourself grace as your masterpiece develops and unfolds. As I leave you to ponder your future, I want to encourage you to be intentional. Be your own Picasso. Be your own Basquiat. Be your own Michelangelo. Make clear and bold strokes on your canvas of life, and remember that you have a fortune of diamonds within you, waiting to be extracted to bring value to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf, for your powerful message. And thank you, Dr. Mallory and Mr. Baptiste, for sharing your musical talents. Please welcome to the podium the president of Talladega College, Dr. Gregory J. Vinson.
Good morning. To our convener, Dr. Pernella Rowena Deems, to Vice President Ludwig Gaines, to our amazing student leaders, Horn and Bocage, to Reverend Solomon, to S. Patha Murchison. You are a part of Talladega now. I know you went to Wayne State, but you are a part of the family. You can pick a year that you want to claim. And to our Renaissance man, a king has come home. You know, there's so much you can say about our speaker. Of course, he's a distinguished attorney, a leader in the commercial litigation area, securities law. Of course, he is an incredible art collector. Obviously, you can see a great friend. But what I want to point out, particularly to our incredible students, is a model of excellence, not perfection, as you heard, but excellence, leadership, service, academic achievement, and a track record of almost 40 years of representing Talladega College at the highest level. Can we give our dais a round of applause, please? As mentioned, we have this incredible choir that you'll hear from later. And Dr. Mallory, we so appreciate you. It is the joy and honor of my life to serve as the 21st president of Talladega College. And you all have heard me say this, and I will continue to say, that Talladega College has the most compelling origin story in American higher education. We have this renowned campus. We are sitting and celebrating in this iconic space, the DeForest Chapel. We're surrounded by these beautiful stained glass windows and painted by the renowned artist and professor here at Talladega, David Driscoll. There's so much to enjoy. We are blessed to have great leadership, and it starts with our Board of Trustees. And I would ask you to hold your applause until I recognize all of them. First, Trustee Zenda Bowie, please stand. Don't look at me like that. We're going to get that record. Trustee S.C. Miller, class of '85, for whom our Talladega College's National Center for Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity is named. My classmate, Dr. Virginetta Cannon, class of '83, faculty representative to the Board of Trustees, and Mr. Javon Tatum, class of 2024, student representative to the Board of Trustees. Let's give them all a round of applause. And like so many of our students, like our distinguished convocation speaker, Trustee Tatum is multi-talented, multifaceted. Not only does he represent the students elected by his peers, he is also a key member of our nationally ranked basketball team. So we congratulate you. And then the Queen and the King. Mr. Jordan Thomas, Mr. Talladega College, 2023-2024. And then Miss Eliza Kroom, Miss Talladega College, 2023 and 2024. And we are so fortunate to have a very strong alumni association led by President and Trustee Christy Brooks Purnell. And ably partnering with her is someone who shows up all the time. My first alumni visit in Washington, D.C., he was there, and he's here today. Can we all recognize Mr. Norman Pitts, class of '84, our vice president? Are there any elected officials? We want to make sure we recognize any elected officials. Oh, yeah, former, yes. You want to stand? Okay, you good? All right. And I saved, for me at least, the best for last. The First Lady of Talladega College, Attorney Kim Wilson Vincent. Dr. Schamberger asked me not to ad lib, keep my remarks brief. As he's giving me the signal. But I just want to briefly, I just want to briefly say what a compelling message we heard today. I want all of the students to stand who are currently here. All the students. Thank you. Today, you heard a message of inspiration, of culture, and authenticity. It is not often that the speaker will share a vulnerability where they didn't get it right. It's easy when you have a career as distinguished as attorney Rockell Metcalf to say, it was easy, I did it, right? But he gave you a message that should inspire all of you. You all are on this incredible journey of self-discovery. And I'll just amplify the message to say, be bold, take advantage of every opportunity you have here at Talladega College, because it'll prepare you to develop, create your own masterpiece. You heard that our distinguished convocation speaker, not only was he student body president, but he was Polemarch of the Gamma Gamma chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, established in 1947. Did I get that right? All right. And so your brothers, who are always distinguished, always dressed, but they added a little something, something today. And they want to come and make a special presentation to their brother and their inspiration.
On behalf of the Gamma Gamma chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, we would like to thank you for coming today and be our keynote speaker. We would like to present you with a gift.
Thank Thank you very much.
As we prepare to conclude today's program, again, thank you, Dr. Pamela Burns-Bell will lead us in the college's alma mater. Then we will receive the benediction for Reverend Solomon. Following the benediction, we ask the audience to remain in their seats, keep the aisles clear, and allow the platform party to exit the chapel.
Eternal God, we say thank you today. What our eyes have seen, our ears have heard, and our hearts have felt. We pray now, God, that we have been challenged to run this race and be masterpiece. Watch over us, God, as we leave this place, but never from your sight. May the Lord bless and keep us. May the Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us, Lord. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen and amen.